Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Sugar Mama's Fireplate Podcast. I am Canna Campbell. Oh my goodness, we have a very special podcast for you today. I've been waiting to do this for such a long time, so I'm so excited. We are joined by Anita Van Dyke from Zero Waste Life or Living? Or
no, Zero Waste Life.
Yeah.
And my Instagram is rocket_science. Yeah.
The reason why is because you originally were a scientist.
Yeah, an aerospace engineer, so literally a rocket scientist.
That is like that's so sexy. I know this sounds really inappropriate for a Monday, but like a female scientist is really cool. Like it's not something it's not something you would come across every day.
Oh, thanks. Look, I graduated with one of two women in a class of 120 men. It was a very male-dominated industry, and I loved being an aerospace engineer, and I still apply my engineering techniques to zero waste living and also being a doctor. But at the same time, I'm also glad I made the transition to now be a doctor, which took me 4 years, extra 4 years to study. And now I'm a junior doctor as well. So
I don't know how you're doing it all, but we're going to do another podcast, Anita and I, on work-life balance, because we're both like banging our heads against a brick wall trying to find solutions and keep it all together. But today I'm going to talk to Anita around money and money mindfulness, the importance of financial well-being in consideration to the environment, our consumption levels, even our level of materialism to a certain degree, and mental health. Starting with your books. Your books are beautiful.
Thank you.
I have just finished reading your second book, which is obviously more focused around families and how everyday families can apply, a zero waste life in everyday living, and it's so much more approachable. But the thing about your book is I found it incredibly soulful. You really get the challenges, the guilt, the zero waste paraphernalia that we're all now exposed to. And I mean, I'm a slow reader, but I've subconsciously taken my time reading it because I haven't wanted it to end.
Oh, thank you so much, Canna. Yeah, the second book is called A Zero Waste Family, and it came from a moment where I felt so overwhelmed. And I call it the plastic straw that broke the camel's back.
I love this story. Yeah. I was like, I've been there. So can you explain to the listeners your meltdown over the straw incident?
Yeah, so my meltdown happened when I felt so overwhelmed as a medical student doing long hours in surgery, and all I wanted was a green smoothie without a straw. And I think we've had all this where we say, no straw, please.
Yeah.
And the guy says something nice like, oh, we need more people like you out there. And lo and behold, when the smoothie comes, a plastic straw was in it. And I started crying. And
I've been there.
Yes, and I started crying not because I felt like this person had done me wrong, but I felt that sense of overwhelm that we feel as mothers, as caregivers, as full-time working women, that all these things that we want to look perfect on the outside and we want to do zero waste perfectly wasn't happening.
Yeah.
And it was this realization that zero waste living doesn't mean zero tolerance for yourself.
I love that.
Sustainability really has to be sustainable for you. And so this is where the book came about, and that gentleness is where it came about as well.
And the sense of relief and space to breathe that creates is so important, because it allows you to keep going with sustainability and discover your own formula or way of life where you are doing the best within the resources and the situation and the challenges. Thank you for writing it. It's a brilliant book. I can't recommend it enough.
Thank you, Anna.
I don't actually have my copy here because someone saw it on my desk and I caught them reading and they're like, can I borrow this? I'm like, fine, yes you can. You give it back to me when you're finished though, but so it can do the round. When I was reading the book though, there was a couple of pages that stopped me dead in my tracks, and that was your story around money. Because whenever I think about your content, I love your Instagram feed. I love everything about you, and I guess I had gotten so into the actual practical steps and hacks and habits for a zero waste life that I had forgotten about your story with money and how, in fact, it was lack of money when you decided to become a doctor and go to full-time studying medicine at university full-time, that you were forced into a situation where you're like, okay, I've got to stop shopping. I've got to stop drinking Starbucks. I've got to, you know, stop going to Zara and stocking up every week. And, you know, and that wake up call, like that was, am I, correct me if I'm wrong, that was your big, like, catalyst.
So for me, environmentalism actually started with economics. And it's that whole situation where I had decided to have a career change and I wanted to go back to study full time. So we went from 2 professional incomes to a single income.
Yeah.
And I had to learn to make ends meet on that one income. So I went back to the frugal ways of my migrant parents who came here with nothing and learned to stretch $1 to $10 and got learning their techniques and tricks and actually understanding that their way of life, which is a zero waste life in the truest sense, not wasting money, time or your resources, was actually the most environmentally friendly option out there. And that's when my journey began, that with economics as the main primary driver, but then turning into an environmentalist along the way.
Oh my gosh. I love the story of your dad in the book, where he would look at a map and then take you into a new place to discover over the weekends, and, you know, you'd ride your bikes and, you know, just what a happy childhood for you as well.
Yeah. So my dad is a jack of all trades. He came with $200 in his back pocket.
Yep.
Nothing else.
Where did he come from?
From China.
Yep.
And he came in, you know, the early 90s where there was not a Chinese person in sight.
Wow.
Really.
Yeah.
It was actually 5 years after the White Australia policy had just ceased.
Yeah.
So he barely knew the language, but he knew how to have a good time. And so what he would do as kids, he didn't have a lot of money, but he would get out the old street directory and he would pick the green spots and the yellow spots, because the green spots were the parks and they were always free, and the yellow spots were the beaches. So he knew that even on a dime, as a children, we can pick a green spot or a yellow spot in the street directory and we would drive there as a family.
Oh, that's so cool.
And I would always wonder, like, you know, who would these white Australians think we are? This Chinese family sitting on the beach eating their fried rice in this, you know, secluded nook of Sydney. And just having the best time of their lives with nothing, you know, nothing in their back pocket except, you know, their fried rice and chopsticks kind of thing. So, yeah, my dad really taught me that it doesn't cost a lot of money to have a good time and to have a good life. And how lucky are we to say that in Australia, that it doesn't cost a lot of money to have a good time and to have a good life. That is so rare. That is so rare.
And so many of us have lost sight of that, I feel. You know, we're constantly buying kids' toys and filling our homes with stuff and then redecorating and then, you know, redesigning our wardrobes, and we're just constantly like at this, you know, bottomless pit searching for the next purchase that we think is going to make us feel complete and happy, when actually everything we need is right in front of us and costs next to nothing. Like it's the simplicity and the preciousness and the beauty of those moments that really enrich our lives.
I totally agree, and I think I've seen both extremes of the spectrum. So I came over from China when I was 4 years old, where we didn't even have indoor plumbing. So we lived on, you know, in a community that was very spiritually rich, but materialistically poor. So we came in from a country where I've seen, you know, extreme poverty, where, you know, we struggled to put meat on the table or food on the table. And now I've seen the other end of the spectrum, where we're living in the eastern suburbs, enjoying the fruits of our labour. So I can say honestly that both extremes are you know, not good in terms of the fact that there has to be a balance, right? And I think that we... anyone who's listening to this podcast is probably living in a very privileged Western world. And we need to acknowledge that where we come from, the resources actually aren't limitless in terms of our planetary resources. So for every time that you want to redecorate or want to buy something new, we need to consider the long-term effects and how it's affecting our wider community, including our international citizenships as well.
Oh my gosh, it's such an important thing to consider. And you know, there's nothing wrong with shopping and doing changes, but do it for the long run. Don't just do it because you're going to redecorate again in 6 months' time or a year's time or 2 years' time. Like, do it mindfully.
Absolutely. And that's what I love about your Instagram and your podcast. It's a reflection that money is important, but it is not the most important thing. It is a source of energy and currency that we use to live a meaningful life that is beautiful in a way that you deem to be beautiful. And I think that that's so important, that, you know, that this ethos of an eco-luxe life doesn't have to mean literally luxury in terms of luxury goods and money. It means what feels good for you.
Exactly. And being able to take that time out by yourself to explore what your definition is, what your life, you would like your life to look like. Not just following a formula that we've seen somewhere, but working out your own, rhythm. I say everything in life is about balance. You know, it's the balance between spiritual growth, intellectual growth, financial growth, physical growth, relationship growth. These are all things that we're trying to juggle at the same time to the best of our ability, but not just focus on one ball only, trying to have that balance. When you went from going, right, I'm cutting off my full-time salary, which is scary, very scary, and going, you know, obviously you were lucky obviously to have a husband at the time who was able to keep working, but still that wouldn't have been without financial fear and stress and huge sacrifices, you know, knowing that your lifestyle was going to have to adjust and focus on the big picture and the long-term picture. What were the biggest changes in your habit system or routine that gave you the best respite in your finances?
Yeah, so a few categories I'll tackle. First one is consumption.
Yeah.
So, like you said, I was the type of girl to have the latest, you know, Zara fast fashion clothing. Every week I'd have something new.
Yeah.
I'd have the latest Givenchy boots and maybe a Louis Vuitton bag.
Yeah.
And all those things are lovely.
Yeah.
But I came to realize that an overconsumption also means that you take those things for granted as well.
Yeah.
So my first tip would just say shop less, but buy better.
Yeah.
So
slow it down.
Yeah, slow it down. So buy the best quality that you can afford. And often I would suggest embracing the secondhand market as your first point of call, right?
I've been shopping secondhand for so long, and I remember people used to turn their nose up at me, like, "Oh, it's dirty, it's old," or really, ew, yuck. And I've just stuck with it because I'm like, no, it's great, and it's more. The pieces are more meaningful because they've got a story and a journey and an adventure. Like some of the secondhand pieces I've owned have been to more countries than I've been to, or experience. I love that preciousness. And it's funny that people think, oh, the experience of buying is just in the store buying that item or clicking add to cart. For me, the process of shopping is actually, researching, looking around online, researching how people, if there's a handbag I want, looking online to see how people have styled it in different ways. That's all part of the buying process. So when I do go to, eventually buy that bag, and obviously saving up along the way, it's the connection and the moment is so much more meaningful. I don't feel the need to return back to the store a week later or 2 weeks later, like so many of us, and including myself in the past, have done. And
I think that's where we all go wrong, that we think that buying more makes us feel better. It's actually filling a void. You got to think about, and I think when you shop less but buy better, you can also reflect on what you buy as well. And that moment of reflection, that moment of mindfulness is actually really important because it slows down your consumption and also makes you realize, am I buying this to fulfill an intrinsic need that is not fulfilled extrinsically? Yeah,
I have shared in my YouTube videos a story where I became obsessed with buying fluffy jumpers, and I just was obsessed, and I was this insatiable appetite to buy thick, chunky jumpers, and I realized it was because I was actually just missing that nurturing feeling of a hug and warmth and comfort and softness and kindness. That's what the fluffy jumper shopping spree was really about. But once I addressed it, that thing that was just insatiable appetite just suddenly just disintegrated. It was quite powerful.
Yeah, and I want to reflect back once again on being a person of color. In our community, often we buy luxury goods to show face.
Yes.
In the Chinese community, we buy these labels to show face, that you are successful, that you have high status and things like that. And for me, that's what I reflected on, that I was trying to prove to the world that I had finally made it, that I was showing face.
Yeah.
So in actually slowing down and reflecting on why I'm shopping, I thought, you know what? Actually, my success is not based on what others think of me. It's what I think of me. Yeah. So buying things now is not what other people think about. It's what I like and what I believe in. And I think that we all need to reflect on that as well.
Yeah, 100%. And again, taking time out to actually do this is so important, not just giving it face value, but actually going deep with it and exploring it and keeping the journey going. Like, I'm always having a conversation with myself about, where I want to go and what actually is fulfilling me, what's meaningful to me, what makes me feel authentic and genuine, and, the growth. What are areas from your life where you underwent the biggest transformations in your life? This whole journey you've gone through is quite beautiful and amazing. Like, there must have been so many other things that have flown into your life from this.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, that's what environmentalism provides. A reflection point that you are not the single most important person in the entire universe, and that what you do has a ripple effect.
Yeah.
So
grounding.
It's so grounding. And in my book, A Zero Waste Family, it's a 30-day guide. The first page is aim for effort, not perfection.
Yeah.
And that's what I've learned through this process.
This is the relief in the space that you create. Like, I felt so safe and so, like, judgment-free reading it and supported. It's just...
Thank you. And I guess, superficially as well, there were so many physical changes that happened as well. So firstly, my diet got better because I call it the zero waste diet.
Yeah.
When you are buying whole foods that are package free, not processed, you actually lose weight quite naturally because you're eating whole foods from Mother Nature that don't need any packaging.
And you have so much more energy because you're actually fulfilling your body with the right type of nutrients and vitamins and minerals.
Yeah, absolutely. And also this prevention of waste that goes along with it. So another practical tip for your followers is to create an Eat Me First box in your fridge. And this is a box for all your bits and ends and all your orphan veggies and fruits and vegetables that you put in the box and label it Eat Me First. So that everyone in the household knows hey, I'm going to eat that first. I'm going to eat the lone banana or the half the avocado, and it won't go to waste.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the second tip I have is also to create your own cleaning products as well.
Yeah.
And that really helped me not only save money, but also realize how many chemicals that we have our home that are completely unnecessary.
Oh my gosh. Even if you can go from having, say 50% chemicals in your house down to 10%, that's a huge change, adjustment. That's something you should really be really proud of.
Yeah.
Not being perfect.
Exactly. And in my first book, I have that 3-step process. The first step is reduce your waste.
Yeah.
And that means using up what you already have, making do with what you already have, and then recycling the plastic packaging or whatever that you have from those outcomes. So not buying anything new, just using what you already have.
Yeah.
The second option is the low waste option. So choosing things such as biodegradable products, glass products, stainless steel products, things that come in cardboard, things that aren't plastic. Because I want to let your listeners know that plastic isn't recycled, it's actually downcycled.
Yeah, I know. So many people... It took me a while to actually realise the truth behind it. Thinking, it's fine, it's going to recycling. Then no, not really. Like, it's not as recyclable as we all sort of have been told.
Yeah, so as an engineer, I've come to realise that things such as cardboard, stainless steel, glass can be recycled infinitely without degradation to the quality of the material, whereas plastic is downcycled. So the little triangles at the back will tell you actually what type of plastic it is. And by the time, if it's 1, that's a high quality plastic. By the time it gets to 5, it will just sit in landfill because it can't be recycled any further.
Which is so sad.
It is so sad. And also plastic is made from a non-renewable resource, petroleum, right? So as a healthcare worker, we need to save those precious resources for what we need in the future that actually require them. Not for single-use, plastics, for a plastic bag to carry your banana to the car.
Yeah.
So I'm not anti-plastic because I think plastic has its purpose, but I'm anti-silly use plastic, which is what we see quite often.
On that subject of sadness, I get so frustrated sometimes. How do you deal with the sadness and the disappointment? Like when you have someone who says, I don't believe in climate change, or you see someone being silly with wastage, or you see people dumping stuff on the side of the road. And by the way, I have to say, you picked up some gems on the side of the road.
I'm a notorious trash hoarder now.
I love it. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, I need to go and stalk the streets that you live in because you find such great stuff. But how do you deal with because sometimes I'm a hypersensitive person, and in particular, the moment being pregnant, I'm so emotional. Lucky Tom. And how do you deal with the sadness and go, do you have times where you think, oh my gosh, am I actually making a difference? Am I people listening? How do you...
I think you can be a climate optimist or you can be a half glass empty person, right? And for me, I chose the path of hope.
Yeah.
And the path of hope is the best option because I like to intrinsically think that human nature is good. And there's this beautiful Maya Angelou quote that says, when you know better, you do better.
Yeah.
So I give the grace to other people to think that maybe you don't believe in climate change because you don't know better.
Yeah, they don't have the awareness.
You don't have the awareness, and that's okay. So the best thing you can do is actually lead by example. So I feel really humbled when you say to me, I love seeing your Instagram, you make trash look good or you make secondhand things look good. I say thank you, because that's the whole point.
Yeah.
When you are living a life where you're saving money, saving resources, and looking good whilst doing it, that's the best example you can lead.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just those moments where, you know, I'm definitely a half glasses half full person, 100%. But you know, when there was moments where you're tired and you're a bit run down, or you've had a bad day and you think, oh, you know, just those, I guess, those challenging moments that we all have.
I think so. And I think when I have those moments, I just think small changes over a long period of time can make a big cumulative difference.
Yeah.
So you may think that, oh, you know, what's that one plastic bottle? If you have that one plastic bottle that one time, that's okay.
Yeah.
Because if 99% of the time you're refusing them, think of how many plastic bottles you're saving in the long run over a lifetime.
Exactly. And that's what we've got to remind ourselves. Like, it does really add up. Just like money, you know. You think, oh, I'm only saving, you know, $5. Who really cares? No. Do something with that $5. Put that $5 towards the credit card debt or your savings account or your emergency savings or your investing account, because you keep doing that, those $5 add up for a lot of time. And that's actually the $1,000 project. I just focused on $1,000, which to me was still a lot of money, but not enough to intimidate me. And that's how I built a $200,000 share portfolio.
I know. I saw your video.
I know.
It's so inspiring.
I know. I actually, it's funny, everything is tracked on a software program called Premium, and every now and again, like, we check it every month to make sure all the transactions are in there and all the dividends and franking credits and everything is meticulously lodged. And I have to pinch myself when I look at it. I'm like, how did I do that? Like, and yes, it's taken 6 years, but this is the proof in the pudding that, you know, little bits over a long period of time have a huge difference. And that passive income goes to World Vision, the 1,000 Girl Project. I do technically reinvest the dividend, but we work out exactly how much income it's paid, and then I take that out of my own account and donate that to World Vision, the 1,000 Girl Project. So it's going on to educate girls, give them housing, protect them, keep them safe, educated, and hopefully, you know, be part of the ripple effect in creating much more powerful and positive future for everyone.
I love that, Canna. Thanks for sharing that. That's really powerful to me to hear as well, because you know, some of us don't have the means to donate financially,
No.
and you showing that you can is actually really kudos to you. But also, if you can't do those things, you can have your own ripple effect in your local community.
Exactly. And your time is more valuable than throwing money. And this is what I try and explain to people all the time. Like, okay, yes, you can donate $20 to charity, or you could spend an hour walking around your local community, picking up rubbish on the side of the street and putting it into a recycling bin and disposing of it responsibly. It would cost the council more than $20 to pay someone to spend an hour doing that. So why don't you do it? The council save their money, and your time is far more valuable to not just your local community, but the environment and the ocean and the planet and the animals.
Yeah, and I think that's the ethos that I drive by. You know, some people say to me, oh, you know, one person saving a plastic straw isn't going to change it. You need to have the policies in place. You need to have the government. Yes,
we do, but one step at a time as well.
Exactly. So the top-down approach is really important. But if you start from the bottom up, which is what we are doing, picking the low-hanging fruits, doing what we can, the ripple effect of that actually means that governments start caring, our local communities start caring.
And we'll see a shift a lot faster as well.
Exactly. It starts with us.
The other question I wanted to come back to is around the money. Like, you went through that shift from going, all right, I have a really tight budget I have to adhere to. You're now obviously working, you're a junior doctor, you've got, you know, your life ahead of you financially. How has the new habits that you've embedded in your life, and the philosophy or the mantra or the ethos that you've imprinted in your mind and heart, how has that changed since then, now that you're earning money? I mean, it's so easy for our lifestyle to, you know, with that lifestyle creep, you know, when we get a pay rise or a bonus, our lifestyle goes back up again. Like, what's your philosophy now around money, and how's it changed you? How's it changed you for the long run? What was the short-term change? Like, can you share with me the way you look at money after going through your shift into a zero waste life?
Look, this whole transition has allowed me to realize that there is such thing as zero waste money.
Yeah.
And there's a whole chapter dedicated to it in my second book.
Oh, yeah, this is such I think I had goosebumps reading. I was so excited reading this. I'm like, yes, like.
Yeah, and it's so simple,
Yeah.
okay? And this is something you can teach your kids as well.
Yeah.
I categorize money into give, get, and grow.
Yeah.
Giving is so important, even if it's 1%,
Yeah.
a few dollars here and there, whatever you can do,
Yeah.
even time, like you say, put up a category of giving. And when you give, you always, get more than you give, right?
Yeah.
So always have a category for giving and teach your children to do that. For my daughter, I have 3 clear jars that say give, get, and grow. So I ask her to put a nominal sum every week into the give jar.
Yeah.
And then the get is for your daily expenses, right?
Yeah.
It's for things that you want to buy in the here and now.
Yeah.
And so that's your kind of weekly budget.
Yeah.
So that's your getting. Okay, and that's simple. You can tone down your weekly budget. You can revise with, your spreadsheets that you have
Yeah.
and look at your videos. And that's really good as well. And then finally, grow.
Yeah.
Grow is where you do your passive income.
Yeah.
You can grow by, even grow can be a category for holidays.
Yeah.
It can be a category for gifts.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be. These 3 simple categories is how I still apply my zero waste money ethos, and also so essential to teach our children. These 3 simple steps about giving first, taking care of your daily expenses in your get, and then growing your income. So asking them to save for a bike or a holiday or something, to learn about the things that we need to actually save money for.
Absolutely. And the other question I want to ask you is, how important is financial well-being to you in your journey? I mean, have you found that since going down this path, you're a lot more mindful with money? You understand the importance of putting some money away, not for a rainy day necessarily, but into the future. Do you find that you look at, even from a ethical, responsible, social investing perspective, like how has that changed your approach to money?
Oh, it's really revolutionized how I think about money.
Oh.
Money is a source of energy, and it's also a source of currency in how you want to align your values with the world. And
I've been saying money is energy for so many years. I'm like, oh my God, I love it when someone tells me that.
It's so true though, right? So for me, money is allowing me my definition of success, which is freedom of time to do what I want to do with my life.
Yeah.
And it's also giving me a bit of luxury to say, I want to invest in causes that I truly believe in.
Yeah.
So the next part of where I'm going now is actually finding investments that are ethical.
Yeah.
About revolving around how we can solve this climate change solution. Because I don't want to say it's a problem, because we've got solutions for it. And using my money to fund those kind of programs and businesses.
And opportunities as well.
Yeah. And let's be honest, like, the green revolution is going to happen.
Yeah.
And why not be part of something exciting and use your money to fund those places and people and those businesses that believe in the values that you believe in?
Absolutely. And I'm going to touch on, obviously, you've got a beautiful daughter, Vivian, she's like 3?
Yeah, almost 3 now. Yeah.
She's so cute. And how do you think, incorporating the subject of money in a zero waste life and the consciousness and mindfulness of money, how do you teach that to her?
Yeah. So I came from a culture where money was the definition of success.
Yeah.
Right? If you had money, it meant you were successful because you can provide food on the table. You can provide a roof over your head. So all the basic necessities. We're so lucky that we have children who have all their basic needs met.
Yeah.
So for me, I want to educate that money, like we talked about, is a source of currency and energy. I also want her to say that I want you to be an independent woman. So you need to look after yourself financially and not wait for a man to do it, right?
This is I think about all the time for my daughter Apple. I'm like, I want you to stand on your own 2 feet financially. I want you to be able to pick and choose and design and create the life that you want. I want you to be able to give money to charity. I want you to be like passionate about what you do. I want you to be happy. You don't want to have to be with someone or take a certain career path because it boils down to because of the money.
I think it's so important that we need to teach our children that.
So important.
But that money isn't the key to happiness.
No,
we all know that.
Or the key to success.
The key to success. But money is a tool to get you the life that you want, so that you can live a meaningful life and do things that are of service to yourself and the world around you. So that respect for money, that yes, we need to actually manage our own finances and look after ourselves, but also use it as a tool so that you can actually do meaningful work in the world is so important.
And not just for our kids, we've got to remind it for ourselves as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
As busy working mums trying to juggle it all and keep it all together.
I know, right?
Well, Anita, thank you so much for coming on to Sugar Mama's Fire Play. I really appreciate it. I know you've just come off a night shift in the hospital. You've had 2 hours sleep. I don't know how you're sitting here in front of me, and you are looking so... I'm going to take a picture. You look so... You've got this like beautiful navy coat on and this beautiful turtleneck jumper, and you just look so elegant and eco-chic. And so thank you so much for coming. For all of the listeners, I cannot recommend enough. Jump on Anita's Instagram account.
Rocket_science.
And of course, your 2 books, A Zero Waste Life for Families, and your first one,
A Zero Waste Life.
Yeah. And that's when we first connected years ago.
That's right. And we've been seeing each other through our journeys for so long.
And always peeping into each other's lives. Like, so it's so great to see you doing so well and support you. And I'm so proud to know you and to see the shift you're creating and the awareness that you're building and how passionate and genuine and authentic you are, in a world where, there's a lot of detractors from those important qualities that we can often forget about, the value of someone's authenticity and who they stand as an individual.
And I thank you, Canna. Along this journey, you have always been a vision holder for me for what a luxurious life looks like. And I'm really happy to say that, all the things that I've, come to fruition in terms of money has been inspired by you too. So thank you for helping me along my journey.
Wow. Okay. Well, we're going to wrap it up there before I start like tears because I'm so emotional at the moment. But thank you everyone for listening. As I said, jump on Anita's website on her Instagram account. Grab a copy of her books and share the love. Like when you're reading it, take a picture and tag her. Or they are powerful books. They will have an impact in your life. You'll find yourself living a more meaningful life, and I'd say that from personal experience. All right, everyone, thank you so much for listening. Please make sure you leave a rating and review. Make sure you're subscribed. Of course, make sure you're following me, also, of course, on Sugar Mama TV. And I will see you on Thursday on YouTube for my latest video. All right, everyone, thanks again, and ciao for now.